Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It is June 14th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and really slow day today. Um, we spent the majority of the day in this tight range here. We dropped down. If you do well, I've already got the measured move there. You can see we didn't even quite make a measured move when we broke out. And what you probably could look at here is this probably just expanded a little bit later on to look more like this right here. That's the way I see it in the end. And you can see that midline working across there fairly strongly. So I think that was the better way to go. But if you use that early channel the way I showed it there in the measured move, then you're not going to be off by much. But in the end, I just think this was the right call right here. Extend that on over, and that explains this little small area right in here, congestion too. So, but anyway, I'm going to leave it like this. But you can clearly see we kind of spiked down and went into this channel, and then we had a break here and a couple legs to a new low, and then we got right back in this channel again and just kind of stayed in that until after 2 o'clock. We had a really nice rally late in the afternoon, but this is well after 2 o'clock, so there was an opportunity to get in it on the second entry here, but it's a little bit late in my opinion. I mean, that's almost 2:30. It's just really late. The problem is, sure, sometimes you'll get a move like that, but most of the time you'll get in it, it'll do like this right here, something crazy, and you'll get stuck in a trade, and then they kick you out, and you just sit there and waste a lot of time. And if you have a loser late in the day like that, it's hard to make it back. There's many different reasons why I don't like trading after 2 o'clock. I just don't think it's smart. There's not much time left in the day. If you're day trading, you got to be out. Most of your brokers will kick you out before 3 o'clock. So it's just not very smart to be trading after 2 o'clock. I mean, if you're in a runner, let's say you entered a trade here and you catch a runner, if you're still managing that runner, more power to you because you're in the profits. You know, if your broker kicks you out, no big deal. So I think that's fine. Just don't enter any new trades after 2 o'clock. If you're managing a runner and you're already in a trade, that's great. Don't worry about it so much as long as you're in the profits. But if it's after 2 o'clock, don't start new trades. I get emails all the time for people, showing me a trade and it's well after 2 o'clock, and it's just not a smart move. It's really not. And that's one of my rules is I don't trade after 2 o'clock. So I don't even like to trade after lunch, to be honest. But up till 2 o'clock, you're fine to trade. So, and again, if you're just a few minutes into 2 o'clock and you get a good setup, don't worry about it. But if it's, once you go past maybe 2:20, 2:30, that's really pushing it. Don't take anything anymore. So, and generally, if you just stick to the after 2 o'clock rule, unless something sets up right at 2 o'clock or just a minute or two after, just skip it. So anyway, it won't take long. Early on, we were in this big channel, real tight, small range here with the big failed breakout, and we broke out, we got back in. We're just inside that, and there's 7 o'clock comes right in here, and there's just no really good setup here. There's no room. It's tempting to go long right here, but generally you want to wait on a higher low. And that's what happens here. You make another lower low, and it looks like we're going to, again, I would say wait on the higher low, and it never comes. And then suddenly you get a failed second entry long and a retest of this breakout. Notice there's two clear legs down there, and that fails and turns down. You may go short there. You got to be careful because you could get trapped and it might run back into the range. But I like the possibility of maybe taking that trap right there. And you can see that prices rocketed down pretty quickly and fairly strongly there. So it's obviously a lot of people got trapped to the long side there, or a lot of longs from up here had to exit, whatever. That's right at the 8:30 open, and that's a nice move down. And then of course you bounce here and you come back and you confirm this trend line, but you don't get a setup. This is your signal bar. Let me zoom in some. Your signal bar is this big green bar. And that's a very nice bearish bar, but it's not your signal bar, and you can't go short over here. But if you're patient a minute, you get a first entry long, then the second entry long, it fails, and you get another chance to go short right here. And this one I like, just to try to ride it down to the other side, and it's a fairly nice setup. It's a little bit congestive there, but with the downtrend and just coming off the key entry point and making a lower high and trying to go higher twice more, you should get another leg down like that. And you actually do get another leg and a break of this little channel and a new low. And then actually you get another failure right here at the midline. Notice you got that, that's a new swing high. It's higher than that one, so you're moving down. First entry, second entry, it fails. Just go short right there. Now, you don't have much room to play with this one, so if you didn't go short where you're supposed to, you may not have enough room. And then it's pretty obvious we're just going to work sideways here. And I don't see any, again, originally I played this right here. And this was a possibility of maybe going long there. The fact that this is a downtrend, even though we're going sideways, you figure we're probably working back to the trend line over here at a very minimum. But that is a failed break lower. And we've been in this since 9 o'clock and it's 9:35 or so, so 35 minutes or so. I just don't think that's long enough, and knowing that we're probably going back to the trend line, I just sit tight there. But when it breaks out the upper side and turns down right off the trend line, I really like that trade. It's a first entry though, and generally on a failed breakout or even a turn down off the key entry point, you want to wait on a second entry. But with this being a breakout, it's probably going to fail. The trend line and the trend line holding and it further confirming this trend line being that far away from the EMA. I like that trade. Again, it's a little aggressive, so I did mark it green, but I like it. So at least to ride it back to the EMA, it ends up running all the way back down to the lows again, and you get a bounce there, and it is a higher low off this one. The only reason this one's not blue is because you have to go long above the inside bar, and you can't. Okay, I had a slight interruption there. I think we were talking about this trade. It's a higher low. The problem is you got an inside bar, but this is a range, and we did just fell out the bottom, and we made a higher low, and we bounced here multiple times. You may still take that trade. I'm marking it green because it's not perfect. You can't trust inside bars. If it had made a matching low, yeah, I'd be more about it. I'd be more interested in it. But this just bothers me a little bit. And you can see it took a little while. It didn't look like it was going to go anywhere before it finally took on off. So you got to be careful with those. But now you get your first break. There's actually a second entry short right here. Technically, that's not a second entry short because your count's here. So it's like a first entry, second entry, third entry. But it looks like two legs up. But again, I don't like this bar. You need to wait on a lower high, which comes here. Then your signal bar is no good. And that takes you all the way back down. Then you get another failed breakout. This looks like a higher low, but you can see the main trend line still in the play. And you can see it's congestive. There's just a lot of reasons that I don't see any reason to go long right there. You got to be really careful. So, and we don't quite have a new low. You know, we have the break of the blue channel coming down, but we don't quite have a new low. We've made a double bottom equal to the previous low right here. So we still don't have a new low in place, and I think that's what's going on here. I don't think you want to go short right into that support again. Now that you're back inside of it, it's very congestive looking across there. Same thing with the long. This one was really tempting, and I think you would have come up if you'd have gone long right at the highs here. You'd have come up short. Now you might have let this break higher and dropped a limit order back in here a little bit further into this congested area to try to get out before that midline right there when it goes back higher. So in that case, you know, you may mark that one green. I like that trade. I'll be honest with you. And you could have gotten in it, I know, a better entry than going long here. No way you want to go long right at the highs there. You got to get in here 2 or 3 ticks back just to have room to get out before that midline. It ends up going a little higher than that, but again, if you'd have went long 1 tick above that, you don't get out of that trade. And so my gut feel or suspicions were right that that's just not a good place to enter there. But with that caveat that, hey, if you let it break higher and get the trigger and then drop a limit order a little back, further back to let it come back, then you're probably okay. Just make sure you get out before you get to that midline right there. Because you can see we just been going sideways here. And there's a good chance we'll break higher, but it'll probably fail just like it did. And then we run lower again. But again, you don't get a chance to go short. There's a failed second entry long, looks like going to set up here, but look how congestive that is. And if you went short there, you'd have got burned. The odds are it's going to go higher before it goes lower. You're going to come back and test this a few times. And that's what happens here. It comes back. We do start working up. There is a higher low here, but it just turned down off the previous support, and it's acted as resistance twice now. You can't go short yet, but you don't really want to go long into that either, because look what happens. It finds resistance there again. It ends up breaking on through, but it may not. It's not but a few minutes before it's back down here and it's going sideways again. So I don't see any reason to go long or short in here until you finally get a little failed break out the lows once again here. Then you got a chance to go long there. And I like going long there on that one. Again, it doesn't trigger till this bar, but I still think that's okay to go long there on that breakout, because if it breaks higher, it's probably going to push on up. Again, you might try to get out before you get back to this resistance area, but most likely we're going higher here, back into the range at a minimum. And you see we end up going quite a bit higher. You're not expecting anything like that. But if you get in right here, you probably have a runner. I don't know that I would have held that runner through all this sideways stuff. But if you did, and you held on, you could have got a nice run out of that. As you can see, that ran for all the way into the close almost. And it ran strongly. So we went from, I mean, that's basically, if you entered down here, that's 22 points. It's $1,000 move for you right there on one contract. Not a bad move. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. Just wasn't much of a day here. Not many entries at all. Very slow, very methodical. I only took one trade today myself. I just didn't see anything I liked. All of these green ones I talked about, I watched them. I wanted to take them. I just didn't like them. And there's just not even many good setups. So if you struggle today to find a setup, it's just because there weren't many. So don't let it bother you. Don't let it eat at you. And these are the kind of days you can't force a trade, because if you do, you'll probably make a mistake. You got to be real careful. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you had a good day today. Hopefully the week will pick up. We're still probably got some rollover going on. There's always a lot of confusion about rollover. Rollover is the second Thursday of the month during the prior to the rollover month. So since we're let me back up. It's the second Thursday of the month in the expiring month. So we're expiring. The June contract's rolling over and expiring in June. So now we're going to move to the September contract. So anyway, when June rolls around, since we're in the June contract, the second Thursday of the month is when it will expire. Well, you don't roll over on rollover day, and again, it's always on Thursdays. You'll want to wait till Friday to roll over, because the volume won't roll over. Everybody will still be trading the Thursday, or on the Thursday that rollover day that they tell you to start rolling over. Everybody will still be trading the current month's contract. They won't start rolling over till Friday. The volume won't. And sometimes it's Monday. Very rarely it's on Monday. Occasionally, there's been a few times over the years that I've still traded even on Friday the current contract and not roll over because there just wasn't any the volume hadn't rolled over yet. But generally it'll be on that Friday. And this year, I mean, last Friday I rolled over to the Friday contract, and that's the way it will usually be. But just don't try to trade that current month or expiry month on the rollover day, because you won't have any volume, and and I get emails, oh, something was wrong with my chart, there was no bars, I didn't have as many bars as you, and it's because you're trading the wrong contract. Don't roll over till Friday, and very rarely it might even be Monday. So the way I do it, on Thursday I open both contracts and I start watching them from that point on, and the next morning Friday I'll have them both open. Whichever one has the most volume, that's the one I'm going to trade. And if you end up trading in the old one early on because it still has the most volume, an hour or two after the open, it might have switched. So you might have to switch over. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to roll over on the first rollover day. And a lot of people get confused on that. So you'll mess yourself up trying to roll too early. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Hope you had a good trading day. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And we'll see you next.